Bob Richardson from Westbury. Robert, I've been on a similar stage with you talking about these problems a few months back in Deloraine. And I could mention a few...
I might actually, Bob, have most of the Tasmanian radicals all in one room. I'm just waiting for the list.
We were talking about water issues there. My initial training was in fact as a geomorphologist, and one of the stories which has been present in the papers in the north of the state the last few days is about the state of siltation in the river here in Launceston. A stream regime doesn't conveniently flow at so many megalitres a day or so many cusecs, whatever like to name it. There happen to be peaks and troughs, and the peaks flush out rivers. What effect do you think I'll call it the plantationisation of the Meander Valley, and therefore one of the chief feeders into the Tamar area, what do you think that's going to have an effect in terms of siltation?
Oh, I actually managed to see some photos a few days ago where we farmers have been blamed for water flowing backwards uphill to cause mud in the streams because it couldn't have been a plantation. I'll tell you this, I've seen a lot of Australia. I've never seen forest practices like I've seen in Tasmania, never. And the effect of the plantation development is quite simply you're putting a lot of trees, all the same age, growing very quickly. They're going to consume a lot of water all at once. And that means that you're going to lose runoff and you're going to lose the aquifer. In some cases it can actually improve water quality by stopping natural erodible sediments, etc. So the biggest impact is going to be reduced water. You can get a big mess though if it rains. You see, I gather they plough the country here and then they contour rip it. It's not done with mainland. I've seen things like going straight up and down hills here. It's just not done. So there's where your erosion's coming from. But the biggest problem, long-term, plantation estate everywhere, is a massive reduction in water. How are you going, Neil?
Very well. My name's Neil Graham from Dairy Plains. And the question I ask, we know, I mean, you're virtually speaking to the converted here, which is rather sad for us because we get our memories jogged a little bit, but the TFGA, which is supposed to represent the farmers in this state, and we know that private forests become a part of TFGA, or they had a part of it, yes, they became a part of TFGA, so that the farmers lost their genuine lobby group to the government on farming and agriculture. Are you planning to meet with TFGA, or have you met with TFGA representatives or General Counsel in your past visits or this visit? Or I mean, we've got to change things here because we don't have a body now looking after the farmers' interests. And the implications on plantations in relation to our access to water and chemical-free status and our sustainable energies are being jeopardised by this massive lobby group of the plantation of the trees, youngs and so forth. So, have you met with TFGA in the past? And what was the response when you met them? And are you planning to meet them again to try and get a little bit of sense knocked into the organisation?
The invitations have not flooded in. And I actually, a couple of years ago, arrived with a delegation to the board room of the National Farmers Federation in Canberra, and the general attitude at that stage and ever since has been to try and suppress what I'm doing. Your point's valid, farmers are not being represented, and one of the problems I think is that you've only got to look at some of the developments that the NFF, National Farmers Federation, have announced recently, where there's a corporatised effort going on. I think it's called Ag Crime, and it's acquiring lots of proper grain growing properties in New South Wales and Queensland. There's a bit of a cross purposes here. So the answer is no. And in terms of dealing with them, the Victorian Farmers Federation has made strenuous attempts to even convince the media they shouldn't talk to me. Shall I say? You know, the background to this is that recently the world's grain supply surplus, according to the United Nations, was 57 days. 57 days of surplus world consumption. This alternative fuel cropping is going to completely change the face of food production. You can go from healthy surpluses to massive reductions. Now, this will affect your standard of living, but just think about those who are poverty-stricken and starving. Just remember, if we're going to get on top of climate change, we have to come to some sort of harmonious arrangements around the world. I've got a problem with greed, basically. And I think that's probably why they've got a problem